Hey, Christ Covenant family. We're in the midst of a new sermon series called The Treasure Principle. And part of what we're doing in this is we're recognizing these biblical principles for what Christian stewardship looks like. And so part of what we think is that giving and our generosity towards the church ought to be regular, church-focused, percentage-based, planned, and sacrificial. And in particular, we want to focus on this idea of percentage-based right now. You know, there's this concept, there's this idea, a biblical principle in the scriptures called the tithe, where, God's people in the Old Testament, they would take the first 10% of their resources and they would set it apart for the Lord and the Lord's purposes. And so we think that that's a wise way for us to steward our resources as well. And for many reasons, but part of what this does is it's going to ensure that we are actively depending on the Lord, that we're sacrificial, that we're giving, that we're generous, but we're constantly having to rely on the Lord and His resources.
Yeah, and one of the things you said there I think is really important. There's the first 10%. There is this idea of a first fruits principle that we actually see all throughout the Old Testament into the New Testament, that we would take the first of what God entrusts to us and give it back to Him and honor Him with the wealth that He entrusts to us. And again, as you said, there's this biblical principle of 10%. For most people, that's a sacrificial gift. For some people, if the Lord has enriched you. We actually look at this passage in 2 Corinthians chapter 9. If the Lord has so enriched you, so blessed you, that you have a great abundance, the Lord may be calling you far beyond 10%. And that's really what I want to talk about is how do you get started with this? For some people, for me, it's a little unfair, Jackson, because literally from when I was 6 years old and did some yard work and my dad gave me $1, he taught me to put a dime in the church offering plate. So this has just been a pattern of my life for a long time. And I would say if you're a parent, I would train your children in the same kind of a way. But if you're not in that way, this can actually be a hard thing to get into. And my point to you, my charge to you would just be to trust the Lord, to trust God with this. And maybe just trust God by just getting started. This Sunday, today, right now, take time and say, I'm going to just honor the Lord with part of my wealth. Maybe it's not 10%. Maybe it's just I'm going to give a gift to the Lord and just trust the Lord with that. And then I think your next step is make it regular. Can I do this every week, every month? There's a regularity to my giving, as we talked about a couple of videos ago. And then I would encourage you, work your way toward a tithe. Now, Bryant Wright, who's been kind of a mentor of mine, he just said, look, just trust the Lord with the tithe. Just trust the Lord 10%. And I actually think that's a great word. If you really trust the Lord, can you not trust Him that He is the one, not your job, not your money, that He is the one that is going to take care of you? And just one other little note on this, I really encourage you to evaluate where you are every year. Paige and I, one of the things we've tried to do is keep going beyond 10%. And there's been times where we've gone kind of well beyond. There's been times where we've had to back it up a little bit. And there's been times where we've built it back up. So, we've always been at least at 10%, but most of our marriage, we've been beyond that just because we take time to evaluate this, ask ourselves, where are we financially? Where are we in terms of what the Lord's provided for us? And then we give a percentage-based gift to the Lord, to His church, to His people. We're going to continue this conversation walking through a biblical vision of regular, church-focused, percentage-based, planned, and sacrificial giving. And we'll look forward to the next video.